Yeah, let the big dog hunt. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kalllas Remarks with your host, Joe Staszak. Of course, my man, Steve Kallas. How you doing, bro?
All good, Joe. Great to be with you as always.
Man, your man, Blake Snell, is killing it in this postseason. Don Larson-esque last night. Only gave up one hit. Dodgers hang on again. They find ways to win. I know the Brewers had the bases loaded in the bottom half, and I forget his name, but he could have stood in there and taken, the pitch that would have hit him and walked, scored a run, but
Oh, Terang, right? The last guy.
yes, he got out of the way of that natural
I don't know why you
reaction.
don't take one for the team. I mean, that's the best thing you
He
could do
said it was
right
a
there.
natural reaction. Come on, brah. But
To get hit
anyway,
in
I
the
mean,
leg, I don't know. That's a
right?
skill. That's a skill.
That, exactly. But anyway, Dodgers hang on again. They find ways to win, and they won 2-1 last night.
Well, Blake Snell, if they gave out the Conn Smythe Trophy in baseball, Blake Snell at 3-0, he'd be the leader to win the Conn Smythe. But
Phenomenal.
to me, it always goes back to Kevin Cash taking them out in that sixth inning and losing the World Series in game six. They didn't want him to go through the batting order three more times. And the guy's golden now. Again, he's hurt during the year. He's only 5-4, but his ERA was like 2.35 or something. And he's been lights out in the playoffs. But the most interesting play, and I understand this maybe has never happened and was incredible. There's that bases loaded, one out, fly ball to center field.
Why isn't the guy on third scoring? I don't care what happened. Caught
Yeah,
it, didn't catch it. Why aren't you scoring?
I'm trying to think who I spoke to last night. It told me Teoscar, who knows a little bit about the
Yeah,
Dodgers, said
Oscar
Teoscar Hernandez is considered
Hernandez.
to be a poor base runner. But you got a third base coach there who was defending himself afterwards. Remember, he was in the dugout and he said, I told him to go. I told him to go. But when you watch the replay, he's 5, 6 feet off at third base, maybe 7, 8 feet off at third base. And when he sees what's going on there, he goes back to tag up. Why do you ever leave third base? It's intro to baseball. A guy hits a ball 350 feet
I
or
mean, he doesn't
more,
have to go off the bag.
stand on third, and as soon as it hits his glove, a lot of people don't know this, even players don't know this. Once it hits your glove, whether you catch it or not, you can go when it hits the glove. And if he
Right.
then turns around and if he had caught it as a fly out, it doesn't matter. You go when he runs. He could have walked in from center, because the ball's 350, 308. I don't know what it is in dead center,
Oh,
but
it's
it's
a mile away.
so I just don't understand. Everybody's covering themselves up. I couldn't find any Teoscar Hernandez interviews. I don't know if there was, but in Sports Center, they didn't pay much attention to it except look at this freaky play. And it was a freaky play because the guy went up, went off his glove, hit the wall. If it hits the wall, the top of the wall, it's kind of weird. It came back down actually.
Yeah.
But when it hits the top of the wall, it's not a catch. It can't be a catch.
No.
So the guy should have just been standing on third. He hesitated. He went back. You can see the coach and their third base coach. I don't know his name. He's there forever apparently, but he's going like this after the guy runs back. You got to yell at him, get on the base when the ball's in the air. This play should have been made 5 seconds before it was caught, or 3 seconds before it was caught.
Yeah.
However long it took to go out there, you stand on third. It's intro to base running. It's very. They got away with it because they won two
Got
one.
away with it.
Right, you're right. Terang could have got hit, and he swung at a 2-2 pitch with the bases loaded, two outs, up by his head.
His head.
I
Look
mean, a
like
lot of pressure and everything, but they
gave
were
it to
very.
the Phillies.
I think the Dodgers were very lucky. Look, I picked them to win the World Series grudgingly before the playoffs, before the season. It just seems to be coming together, and the biggest part of the coming together to me is Blake Snell. Give Freddie Freeman credit; he hits a home run like Freddie Freeman hits a home run to give him 1-0. But they fortunately for them got to 2-0, and then they won the game 2-1.
Yeah. And then the other league, Seattle, 2 games to none lead over the Blue Jays. You absolutely crushed the Yankees.
I'll say it again. If you're giving out a Conn Smythe trophy in baseball, you're giving it to Polanco. He got the hit in the 15th inning to win the game, to get them here. And yesterday he hits a 3-run homer. Julio Rodriguez, another star, hits a 3-run homer. Naylor hits a 2-run homer. They go 10-3 yesterday after winning the first game 3-1. And who had two RBIs in the first game to help the Mariners win 3-1? Polanco. This
Yeah.
guy's the MVP. He's got 4 hits and 5 RBIs in the first two games. And he got the hit in the 15th inning in the last meeting to get them to this place. So you got to give them a lot of credit. The Mariners are just right now owning the Blue Jays 10-3 yesterday. I mean, boy, that's a tough one to come back from. They're down 2-0. And I think the Dodgers were fortunate. Do you know the Brewers beat the Dodgers 6 out of 6 during the regular season?
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
we always say? Throw the records out the
Throw it
window.
out. Throw them out.
So I think, frankly, you know, I'm a big Blake Snell guy, have been forever.
Yeah.
And he's been up and down, hurt a few times, but you know, he's having an incredible postseason now, and he looks like he's virtually unhittable because he's virtually unhittable.
Been great. Oral Hershiser like.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little football. There was a couple games last night. We'll get to the Chiefs and the Lions because I was surprised how that played out, but I'm not really surprised anymore by anything that happens. But the Bills are 4-0, just like the Eagles, the last two teams undefeated, and now they've lost two in a row. And they lost to Atlanta, who's kind of been a weird team this year. Carolina, thumped them a few weeks ago and blanked them like, you know, 30-0. And they come back and Josh Allen, a couple picks, which he doesn't do. He didn't look
Right.
like Josh Allen last night. And Michael Penix was decent. And of course, Bijan Robinson, 170 yards. And Drake London's having pretty damn good year. 10 catches for a buck 58 and a touchdown last night. And the Falcons beat the Bills. The Bills are now 4-2.
It's a little scary. Again, who are you pointing to now? I know we're going to get to the Chiefs. The Chiefs beat the Lions, or the
Don't
Lions.
even know.
So it's just everybody's coming. It seems like a horse race where everybody's coming back to the pack
Yep.
because for Josh Allen not doing Josh Allen things, he made that one flip that was
Yeah,
almost
the flip.
intercepted. I mean, it didn't matter. I think it was fourth down,
It
right?
was fourth down.
So
Yep.
the guy was on the ground when he dove for it. But Josh Allen doesn't seem to be Josh Allen. I mean, what was he? 15 for 26 for 180 yards with two picks, as you say. But I got to tell you, how about these numbers at the half? London, who's great, he's kind of under the radar, but he's great. 9 receptions for 147 yards. And Bijan Robinson, 12 rushes for 138 yards at halftime.
Yeah.
Uh, Look, you got to give the Falcons credit. They're in the mix. I think everybody's in the mix now. I mean, look at the Patriots now. The Patriots are in first place and they're ahead of the Bills now. Just bizarre. But the teams have turned it around literally in the couple of weeks. Look at the Bears, 0-2. They beat Washington. I know we'll get to that. They beat Washington at the buzzer and they're 3-2. What happened to these teams to get them, you know,
Nobody's standing out. Everyone's kind of, like you said, coming back to the
well,
Eagles.
that's what, again, we always talk about, Joe, the MFL, the Mediocre Football League. We want everyone to be around 500 for competition's sake.
It really is.
I
Jake
know.
Jake
But
Moody, who got cut by the Niners because he couldn't, hit the concession stand with consistency, comes in and he bangs one home to win the game last night in Washington, which again, in the NFC East, they're 3-3. They have an opportunity. I mean, I know that Jaden Daniels missed a few games, but I mean, the top two picks in last year's draft went at it last night, and hey, Caleb Williams coming around a little bit.
well,
I
maybe he
mean,
saw the light. Maybe he read that article you sent me about how he messed up last year. But he certainly seems like a different guy, in the whole interview process and all of that. Um, but I don't even know who to point to. I thought the Bills would kill the Falcons.
yeah,
Uh,
that's
the Falcons
I have
killed the
no idea anymore. I know it's getting to week 6. We're supposed to have enough information to kind of make some picks, but then you got the Chiefs. Started 0-2. Now they're 3-3, and they kind of handled Detroit. And Detroit, excuse me, since the opening game when Green Bay smoked them, they've been on a roll, but they look very ordinary against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs look Chief-like. After coming off a loss to the Jags the week before, they win 30-17.
And this is a Mahomes game, an old-time Mahomes game. And I don't mean last year. I mean at the top of his game. 22
Yeah.
for 30, 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, rushing TD. They're looking good. Worthy is doing some damage. Hollywood Brown is doing some damage. And here comes Rashid Rice next. He's playing next week, right? That was their sixth game. Yeah,
Yeah, that was game 6.
so they're only going to get better. Maybe they're the sleepers, but before last night they were 2-3. How could they be the best team? But you might argue with them as the best team right now. The Lions just aren't quite. I don't know how to explain it. Goff isn't very athletic. He makes an athletic play every once in a while, but he's not like He's not like Mahomes, not that many people are, but you got to give the Chiefs credit. I don't want to say they won that game easily, but they had it in control,
He did.
fourth quarter and all of that stuff. And Spags is still Spags. He finds a way to put you in trouble. Apparently, our guy Chris Jones, apparently, he was soundly criticized for walking along the goal line on that last play. And he
By
played
Trevor
with
Lawrence. Yeah.
more oomph, I would say, than he has been. I don't know if he's getting a step slow or not, but now, people notice that was a gigantic play. And maybe
Huge.
he could have stopped it, maybe, but
Maybe,
you'll
but
never
still,
know.
got to put an effort at. He just stood around.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, and don't look now. And I'm not buying into them yet. But they didn't have Chris Godwin, they didn't have Mike Evans, and they had Tez Johnson, and they had Cameron Johnson, guys that were just drafted recently, and Baker Mayfield. Pretty gutsy performance. They're six. They're 5-1. They beat the
I've been
Niners
one.
30-19. He had that amazing run, scramble for a first down, probably his signature moment if he is a candidate for MVP this year. But you can't argue with him. The only loss they had was to the Eagles, and they very well could have won that game. He threw a bad pick, and they fumbled late in the third quarter of that game. But the Bucks are 5-1. You got to give credit to Todd Bowles and company.
Yeah, and the 49ers are 4-2. They're coming back to the pack. Now they've lost Fred Warner, I think, for the
He's
season.
done for the year.
When McCaffrey's there, he's the best player.
Yep.
I think you're right. Baker's probably the MVP, 17 for 23, 256 yards, two touchdowns, no picks. I mean, same as Mahomes, three touchdowns, no picks. The no picks is the most important thing. Um, Josh Allen, two picks, game over. So you got to still take care of the ball. You can't fumble it. You can't throw it away. And it's what you always say, whoever wins the turnover battle usually wins the game way more often than not. So right now, Baker is the MVP. I don't know when these guys are coming back, but the fact that they've lost certainly a Hall of Famer in Evans, I thought there was a chance he'd play, but he didn't. And the Bucks are for real, and they still have the ability on defense to go crazy with the blitzing, which I like. So,
Mm, I do too. No, I do too. But
but Baker Mayfield shouldn't have said what he said about Tom Brady. I don't know if that was 6 weeks ago now or not, but even Tom Brady came back and said, "Yeah, wake me up when you win the Super Bowl."
right, exactly. I mean, come
I don't
on.
think they're going to win the Super Bowl,
I don't
but
either.
they're in the mix of the conversation of the top. You tell me what, three or four teams? The Bucks have to
Yeah,
be in the
why not? I
conversation.
mean, 5-1, they have the best record in the league.
And I think the 49ers, once again, they're done. They're just slaughtered by injuries. And it's been now what, 2 years or 3 years? Where's Brock Purdy? Well, although Mac Jones played really well,
He has played really
he
well.
did throw two picks, but he threw for
They
346.
were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was the Eagles Chiefs, and before that, they lost in overtime to the Chiefs, and they've fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, it's
A
too
lot of
bad.
injuries and
They
Purdy's.
haven't been able to beat the injury bug because these aren't bugs. These are these are elephants. These are terrible injuries.
They are.
There's Fred Warner defensively. That's a gigantic problem.
Gigantic. So in South Florida, it looks like they're close to the bottom, though, the Miami Dolphins. They played the Chargers well and had the lead late. Justin Herbert with a great play to Lad McConkey, and McConkey did a nice job on very late in the game on their last drive. He dodged a defender and went about 40 yards downfield, setting up the game-winning field goal. But then afterwards, Tua kind of came out and he kind of called out his team for not showing up to players-only meetings or showing up late, and
Yeah,
doesn't
but isn't Tua the leader?
that he is the leader. It doesn't reflect well on him. He's the leader. He shouldn't be, in my opinion. Don't air that publicly. He threw three picks too. This is a game he threw three picks, and I like Tua. I think he would probably. That's like a press conference he'd like to have back, like some of those throws, and it doesn't reflect well on the coach either. But that's what happens when you lose. Things get ugly. And again, they had the game, and I thought Justin Herbert, remarkable play, and Lad McConkey, tremendous to get that down there for Dicker the kicker to knock it through. And Chargers are now 4-2.
Chargers are in the mix. They were 3-0, then they lost 2 games. You're going, how could they lose those 2 games?
To
But
the
now
Giants,
they're
one of them.
yeah. Well, you know what? The Giants are actually better. I mean,
They
you
are
saw the
better.
Thursday
How
night
about
game.
my man Cam Scatterbo, 3 touchdowns against the Birds.
Hey, I don't know if you saw him interviewed after the game. It was so funny. It's just like, how did all this happen? I'm just doing my best, but you don't want to get in his way. He's Pacheco, but worse. And
Right? He
I
runs
mean, by
angry.
worse, I mean better in terms
Better,
of
right. He runs
laying guys
angry.
out.
He runs angry. He totally does. You mentioned the Patriots. They're 4-2. I know they beat the Saints, but that's a good team with Mike Vrabel.
And here's a newsflash just on the Saints quickly. They're better than we think.
Yeah,
This Rattler's playing great. He can run, he can throw it. I mean, and
they've been very competitive.
yeah. Well, the Patriots, again, Drake May's got that big plus now in this next year, 18 for 26, 261 yards, 3 touchdowns, and here we go again, 0 picks.
Yep,
But I think, these teams like the Saints are better certainly than I think. Atlanta better than I think. Even Miami, they had that game.
had it.
They're better. They got terrible records and stuff. Uh, and the weirdest game I thought of the weekend was the London game with Denver and the Jets. I love Denver. I love them. How I said to my son, how are they
I
going to
don't. To be honest, I don't. I'm like the only person who doesn't like Denver. I don't believe in them. Yeah, I know they beat the
Wow.
Eagles.
I mean, they were lucky to win the game, that's for sure. But if you said that they're going to get 9 sacks and they're going to hold the bad guys to 3 field goals and a safety. I
The
mean, the
safety.
safety was really like, I thought it was intro to football, never hold. You might as well let the guy go before you hold him in the end zone because that's an automatic 2 points. And refs don't miss these things anymore. The only question is, did he hold him in past the goal line? And the answer was yes. So that put a big stink on the whole thing. But look at what the Jets defense did. You got to give them credit. Maybe you're right about the Broncos because I thought they were better. If you told me before the game, the Jets aren't going to score a touchdown, they're going to score 11 points, and the Broncos are going to the Jets are going to score 11 points, and the Broncos are going to get 9 sacks, I'd say, oh, this is 35-11. So you can't figure it out. This has been
Jets
a
are a mess. The
tough.
Jets are a mess. They really, it's just they're a mess. What are the Jets now? The Jets, what are they? They haven't won a game yet.
No, they're 0-6.
Six, with Aaron Glenn.
And
I
apparently,
did.
here's the
Yeah.
problem with Fields. I don't know that Fields is the answer, but he almost seems in a position now to leave the Jets and go somewhere else and become, Mac Jones like, or Geno Smith like,
Hmm.
or MVP Daniel Jones like.
Good transition because I kind of misspoke. Tampa Bay does have a 5-1 record. They do have the best record in the league, along with the Indianapolis Colts, who are 5-1. They beat the Cardinals. Indiana Jones, who also, believe it or not, you can throw him in the candidates for MVP. He's been phenomenal. 22 of 30, 212, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He's got Jonathan Taylor with him, Tyler Warren from Penn State, doing a bang up job. I mean, you can't argue with 5-1. They're 5-1.
Well, and I'll mention our favorite substitute, Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
27 for 44, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns with 1 pick. But, they just, well, and by the way, I don't know if you saw the end of that game. I did. McBride caught that pass in the end. He got mugged in the end zone on the very last play they had. It was 4th and 7 from like the 10-yard line or something. And McBride, when they showed the replay, he got mugged, and the referee was standing right there. I've never seen that player. Did you see McBride afterwards? He put
Yeah.
his hand over his head and ran up to the ref, a foot from the ref, and going, "How could you miss it? How could you miss it? How could you miss it?" And then, that's 1st and goal on the 1. And frankly, there's a different result there in that game. But, these things happen, but he got mugged. The refs can't stay. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe Sean Payton had the answer that time with, if you challenge that, if you could challenge the no pass interference call on that last play that the Arizona Cardinals had, there's no doubt it would have been overturned. No doubt. I mean, it's such a gigantic, these calls have such a gigantic effect on 4 or 5 games every Sunday now. And you just got to hope they go the right way. And
Four,
by the right way, I mean the correct way,
the
not for
correct way.
just right from wrong. But
Yeah,
you're right. Give the Colts credit. They're 5-1. Daniel Jones is still in the mix for MVP. It's just if you heard at the beginning of the season someone said, "Yeah, Daniel Jones and Baker Mayfield after 6 weeks," you'd go, "Yeah, what are you smoking?"
crazy, right? We got to wrap, but before we wrap, I have to mention we didn't talk about it in pre-production, but we texted a little bit about it. Penn State 2 weeks ago, they were leading Oregon in overtime, leading Oregon in double overtime, and almost like a play away from, closing that game up, beating Oregon, who was the, I think, sixth ranked team, and Penn State was three. Flash forward 2 more weeks, James Franklin is fired. He gets a check for $49 million, but they're without they're with an interim coach right now, and they're going to be probably doing a search. Not probably, they will be at season's end. What did you think of that? I thought he had to go. It was time.
Yeah, because look, it's not, they put up his record. What is he, 1-14 against
Four
top,
and 21 against top 10 teams.
right? But like 1-14, I think, against top five, whatever the numbers are. They just could never get over the hump. And he took full responsibility 3 weeks in a row, right? And finally, they just said they must have got some guy who said, "I'll put up the 49 million." It's like, get rid of this guy.
Yeah,
Is it his fault? Well, I think it is his fault to some degree. He doesn't seem to have you'd know better than me, but he doesn't seem, does he have top five talent
I see.
in him?
That's the thing. He does not. And their quarterback, I did a story. I think they kept the wrong quarterback. Drew Prabula, sorry, is with Mizzou now and balling out. And when he came in for Aller to, give him a blow or just for to mix him up, he always was instant offense, instant energy. I don't think they used Drew Aller right. He's out for the season now with an injury. I have no idea what his draft stock's going to be like because he doesn't. He plays as poorly in big games as his coach kind of coached in big games. But I think they kept the wrong quarterback.
Certainly
And I
looks like
don't
it
think the
right
talent
now.
is as good as I think it's overrated. A little bit. A little bit. Like Ohio State's defense, they never screw up a big game. Like they could lose a game like to Michigan, and then they came back and won like three or four and won a national championship.
Right.
But that team is they're prepared, they're tough, and their talent is, there are so many blue chippers on that team. And look, Penn State even let James Franklin, he said, listen, we're good, but after last year going to the Final Four, but we need more talent, more money, and we need Jim Knowles from Ohio State, the defensive coordinator. And then he criticizes them last week. He said, our defense is too slow, they're not reacting. Well, when you have to think a lot, and that happens especially in football, there's a lot of things you need to be thinking about as a defense before you get to before it comes second nature, then you can play ball. But there's a lot of thinking. He criticizes defense for being too slow to react.
Yeah, I think Franklin will get another job, or maybe he'll
He
do TV
will.
next year. But he's not getting the top five, top 10 job.
No, and we'll
The numbers are too bad. They're just terrible.
you heard my prediction first right here on Kallas Remarks. I'm saying it's either Manny Diaz or Clark Lee, head coach of Vanderbilt right now. Those are the guys. I don't think Urban Meyer's coming back. If he was interested, he's my hire. And Nick Saban, I don't think is, but I would still, I'd make the phone call. It's
Of course.
coaching search malfeasance to not make the phone call, but Urban Meyer wins right away wherever he goes. I know, and he probably wants to get the bad taste of Jacksonville, that experience out of people's minds. Um, I don't
Yeah.
know if he's coming back, but I think they
I don't
should.
know where he is on NIL. I don't know where any of these superstar
Right, right.
coaches, apparently
Saban
they,
retired
they
because of it.
right and pretty much admitted as such.
Coach
So
K, Jay Wright. They're like, now we're done.
yeah, I don't blame him.
Don't blame him either. Good stuff, my man. You can catch Steve stuff on daily on his Facebook forum page, Speaking of Sports with Steve Kallas. And you can check out this podcast during the football season, we recap Tuesdays and we preview on Fridays on YouTube and all the audio outlets. And you can follow me on Twitter at Joe Staszak 975 or on Instagram at Joe Staszak 4799. Good stuff, my friend. We'll see you in 3 days. We'll knock another one out of the park.
Always a pleasure,
You
Joe.
too, pal. Appreciate it, folks, for watching. We'll catch you soon.